Okay, so you brought something interesting to our attention this week. It's about the latest developments in U.S.-India trade
Yeah, that's right. Specifically, Donald Trump's recent comments warning India about tariffs on American goods.
and the potential for the U.S. to, well, hit back with its own tariffs.
Exactly. Retaliatory tariffs.
We've got some info, sources on what Trump said at a rally, and it's
Mm.
probably good to remember the history here, too, from his last term. Gives us context.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission really is to just pull out the key insights, figure out what this might mean, without getting lost in the weeds.
Sounds good.
All right, so what's the big headline, the thing grabbing attention?
Well, the immediate thing is Trump's statement from a recent rally. He really zeroed in on India's tariffs.
On specific things.
Yeah, things like Harley-Davidson motorcycles and Kentucky bourbon too, called them unfair.
Ah, okay. Those are often symbolic products in these kinds of talks, aren't they?
They really are. They get mentioned a lot.
And his position on this, heading towards the election, seems pretty clear then.
Oh, absolutely. Very direct. His message is basically, you tax us, we tax you.
Simple as that.
Yeah, it's a straightforward principle of reciprocity, at least how he frames it.
But this isn't just talk, is it? I mean, we've sort of been down this road before.
Precisely. That's the key context. During his last presidency, the U.S. did impose tariffs.
Right, on steel, wasn't it, from India?
Exactly, on steel imports. And India, well, they
I
responded.
know they respond again.
They put retaliatory tariffs on certain American goods, agricultural products mostly, apples, almonds, things like that.
Okay, so there's definitely a precedent, a bit of deja vu.
You could say that, yeah.
So for people listening, why should this specific trade issue be on their radar? What are the actual impacts?
Well, several things. First, the business side. If new tariffs go up, U.S. exports to India could get more expensive.
Things like tech, agriculture.
Exactly. Tech, agriculture, those are big sectors, so that could disrupt trade flows, obviously.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Beyond the economics, there's the diplomatic angle. The Biden administration has put effort into strengthening ties with India.
Right, building that relationship.
Yeah, and this kind of more aggressive trade stance could potentially strain those efforts.
hmm And what about India? If things escalate, do they have other options? Could they, like, shift their focus?
That's certainly a possibility. If the U.S. market becomes harder to access because of tariffs, India might, look to deepen trade ties elsewhere.
Like with the EU? Or maybe Russia?
The European Union is one possibility, yeah. Maybe even Russia, though that comes with its own complexity.
And then there's the whole China factor in the background, right?
Absolutely. Geopolitically, India is seen as a really key partner for the U.S., kind of a counterweight to China.
So Washington has to tread carefully there,
Yeah.
balancing trade toughness with the bigger strategic picture.
It's a very delicate balance, yeah.
Okay, so looking ahead then, short term, what should we expect?
Well, in the near term, especially, with the 2024 election cycle heating up, we're probably going to hear more tough talk on trade.
It's a familiar theme.
It is a consistent theme in the current political discussion.
And longer term, for
Oh.
businesses caught in the middle of this.
I think businesses involved in U.S.-India trade probably need to prepare for potential volatility, maybe some instability.
Policy shifts,
Yeah.
things changing quickly.
Yeah, the trade relationship might not be smooth or predictable, which, raises the question of what to watch for. What are the signs?
What should people be keeping an eye on? What's the key indicator here?
I'd say India's own actions on tariffs will be critical. For instance, if they decided to, say, proactively lower some of their existing tariffs on U.S. goods,
That would be a signal.
it could definitely signal a desire to de-escalate, to ease tensions.
And the opposite, if they hold firm or raise tariffs.
Well, that would suggest a more resistant stance,
Yeah.
maybe
yeah.
digging in for a fight.
Okay, so wrapping this up then, we're basically looking at the potential for another round of trade friction between the U.S. and India.
Triggered by these recent comments from Trump, yeah.
And that has knock-on effects for businesses, could strain diplomacy, maybe shift India's trade focus.
All happening within that bigger geopolitical context we talked about, especially concerning China.
Right.
Exactly. And, it really leaves us with a core question to think about.
Which is?
Well, faced with these warnings, what's the best move for India? Should they, call Trump's bluff and negotiate hard?
Or take a different approach?
Or should they prioritize de-escalation, maybe a more conciliatory approach to avoid a bigger dispute? There are good arguments either way.
Definitely something to consider. Thanks for walking us through all that.
My pleasure.